Welcome back to Haters TV. I'm Samantha Miller.
I'm Anne-Marie Batson.
And this is our first edition of the WSL Weekly Roundup.
And we're going to be looking at the matches that took place in the WSL this week, as well as previewing the big games this weekend.
So let's start off, midweek games. First game was on Wednesday. I was at Reading against Manchester City, which was an absolutely phenomenal game. It was Reading 3, Manchester City 4. Firstly, did that result surprise you?
Oh, that result absolutely surprised me. I wasn't expecting that at all. I was expecting a Man City win straight away, given where they are in the table. But the fact that Reading were able to come back in the second half just shows how much they wanted to win the match, for sure.
Okay, so what really was amazing for me, and actually didn't surprise me, Nikita Parris. She's been absolutely superb all season. Spoke to her after the game, and she spoke about how clinical she's been this season, and it was something she's really worked on, being more clinical in front of goal, just making sure she really takes her chances. Hat-trick in the first half. I mean, how many times does a player get a hat-trick in the first half? What have you thought on Nikita Parris?
Well, you know, with Nikita Parris, she's going to get a goal. We know that. She's a goal scorer. But what I really like her is her partnership with Jill Scott. I think the two of them work together so well. And I think Jill actually set up one of the goals, didn't she, from what I remember reading from the match. So I think their partnership works really well. You know, when Nikita's on the score sheet, she's desperate for a goal. And you know she's going to score as well. So she's a reliable player for that.
And Reading got themselves back in it in the second half. And in sort of the final stages of the game, they were really trying to get an equaliser. They came close. They actually got a free kick at the end of the game where you just thought, oh, if this goes in, Reading are going to get a point from this game. Speaking to Kelly Chambers post-match, she was happy with the performance, much improved, because they'd gone. That was their 5th game where they hadn't won. But Kelly Chambers happy with the improvement, like I said. Where do you think Reading will start maybe getting some wins under their belt now?
I think it gives them more confidence. I think it helps with their momentum. Whether they're going to make top 4, I think that was going to be the question, if Reading were going to be able to do that. I'm not entirely sure now, but it gives them the confidence to think, actually, we can come back against a big team like Manchester City women. So it was fantastic for them. I think it would have been great if it ended as a draw, because I think it would have made the top 1 and 2 places even tighter than what they are right now. But congratulations to Reading. I mean, let me ask you, why do you think Reading were able to come back in the second half?
Well, this is what I was thinking about after the game. Sort of doing the commentary during the game, myself and my commentator Joshua Dunkel spoke about, we wondered if we were going to see a fatigued Manchester City side, because the majority of the Manchester City players had just played in the She Believes Cup out in America. So you sort of wondered, will they be fatigued? Will they be able to sort of play to an intensity and a tempo in the second half of the game? So that was something we thought about before the match. And maybe they did start to tire in the second half, but I do think Kelly Chambers would have really spoken to Reading at half-time and said, because they were playing well in the first half. Reading played really well, dominated possession in periods of the game. It was just about Man City were clinical in front of goal, about Reading maybe taking chances more that they created, and it'll be interesting to see sort of how Reading now progress, because I think a lot of confidence can come from that game. So was it fatigue in the second half, or Reading really pushed on because they felt they deserved something from that game, so to try and maybe get themselves back in it, and they did. It was just they couldn't get that last goal.
I'd agree with all that. I think it's a really good point about the She Believes Cup. That's one thing I hadn't considered. Actually, a number of the players were playing abroad, so I think that's probably been a factor. And also, Reading just upped their level and took their game to City, so congratulations to them. But of course, we had another big game this week, which is of course Arsenal, and they were playing Bristol City. Ended as a massive win for Arsenal women, 4-0. It's getting really tight at the top. What do you think?
I was just going to say, it was incredible because saw Nikita Parris get the hat-trick for Manchester City, and then last night Miedemar got the hat-trick for Arsenal, and Frank Kirby got a hat-trick for Chelsea, and there was just hat-tricks all around, hat-tricks everywhere. And it was a must-win for Arsenal. I don't think, if they want to win the league, they're out of all the cups now, didn't win the Continental Cup, out of the FA Cup, and they want to win something, Arsenal, and they've shown so much quality this season in the league, and it's in their hands. So they went in that game with the mentality, we can only get 3 points, and they definitely did that. And you mentioned you watched the game. What did you think?
Oh, they were all firing on all cylinders in that game for sure. It was just awe-inspiring to watch them play and how much they dominated and how much possession they had in the ball. For me, as well as the score and seeing, you know, the hat-tricks from Vid and Miedema, for me it was great to see Danielle Carter, who's been out for a long-term injury. Fantastic to see her get a few minutes on the pitch as well, and helping in a couple of the goals, which was fantastic.
Moving on, the Chelsea game. As I mentioned, Frank Kirby hat-trick. Chelsea beat Liverpool 4-0. Chelsea seem to really be finding their form. Got an FA Cup game at the weekend. What did you think of the Chelsea-Liverpool result?
I wasn't surprised, to be honest. I was expecting a Chelsea win, to be sure, and they were away from home. Their away form's been really good. It's, as I said earlier, I think the fact that the top 3 now, you know, Arsenal, Man City, Women, Chelsea, it's getting extremely tight, and I think everyone's now looking just to get points. I know Emma Hayes is big on performance, but now we're coming towards the end of the season, crunch time, it's all about the points.
Do you think Chelsea's main focus now might be the FA Cup this weekend rather than the league?
It's a really good question. Yeah, they won a cup. In whatever shape or form, Chelsea will win a cup, because of course they did the double last season. That may not happen this time round, but they will want a cup. Whether it comes in terms of winning the Women's Super League or winning it in terms of the FA Cup, they just want silverware.
Other fixtures that have gone on this week, West Ham, Everton. Everton came out with the win. What did you think of that?
Congratulations to Everton. They need the points for sure. It was a fairly competitive match from what I saw on the highlights. Both teams just really going at it, and you know they're both desperate for points as well. But great stuff from Everton. But the one for me was Yeovil Town and Brighton. I think that was an absolutely cracking match to watch. What did you think?
Yeah, I think Everton knew that they really needed the points. You know, looking towards the bottom half of the table, and obviously with the addition of Willie Kirkin, absolutely fantastic manager. I think he really knows how to get wins when a club needs it. He reads the game really well tactically. He knows about the league. I think it was a great addition to get him on board, and so it didn't surprise me that Everton got the win really. But yeah, as you mentioned, the Yeovil Brighton game, both those teams know how vital it is to get points. And you know, speaking to Lee Birch, the Yeovil manager, sort of nearer the beginning of the season, he's really confident in his side, and he felt the points were coming. With some of the performances they've put in, he was really confident that they would get some points on the board, and it's going to be interesting sort of end to the season now, see who finishes bottom and which teams sort of start to climb up the table.
I would agree with that. Lee Birch's belief in his team has never ever wavered, and when they got that first win, I think was it this year or last year, I think when they got that first win, he was just absolutely over the moon for it. And I think that's what inspires me about Lee Birch, the fact that his belief has never wavered about Yeovil Town, the fact that they're fighting now to stay within the WSL. I think it is going to be that fight between Brighton and Yeovil. Whoever comes out, you know, at least they've given it all. But I love the fact that he is fighting for them every time, for sure.
Moving on to the weekend, FA Cup. It's a big one. So we'll start off with Durham against Chelsea. That's the game that I will be at. It's going to be an interesting game. What do you think Durham will need to do to try and compete with Chelsea? You know, Durham obviously in the Championship, Chelsea in the top league, the WSL. How do you think sort of that might work?
My one piece of advice for Durham, enjoy it. Enjoy it. It's the biggest game for them this season. I'm sure they're going to put on a massive show for Chelsea. They need to hold on to the ball, because the minute Chelsea get that ball, they're going to be away. That midfield is so tight for Chelsea. They're going to be difficult to break down for sure. So I think the minute Durham have the ball, just hold the ball as much as you possibly can and see if you can get a goal. But enjoy it, enjoy the experience. As I mentioned, it's the biggest game for them in terms of their season. I'm sure they're going to put on a big show for Chelsea, and everyone will just have fun and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think the Durham players are excited to play against some of the best players in women's football.
Yeah.
If you look at the quality Chelsea have in their side, and I think they will definitely take the opportunity. and I think it'll be an interesting game. We see week in, week out how Chelsea play, some really neat football, and Durham are a tough tackling team, so they won't hold back, and it will be interesting to see how Chelsea play on that. Will they underestimate Durham? Will they not? And I think Durham will really go for it, and it'll be a tough place to come, Durham. Obviously a different standard of pitch possibly that Chelsea are used to playing on, but Chelsea, they are a hard team to play against. So I know I'm excited for that. Another game where it's Championship side against WSL, Reading against Manchester United. I think that's going to be a really interesting game. What are you thinking?
It's a tough one to call for me. Man United did really well in terms of the League Cup, in terms of the Continental Cup. I think they reached the quarter-finals, correct me if I'm wrong, but they reached, top level in terms of the Continental Cup, and then were beaten by Arsenal. Oh, it's a tough one to call. I expect Reading to come through, given their experience playing that. But a lot of eyes are on Manchester United, because we are expecting them to make their appearance in the WSL next season. Again, I think it'll be a Reading win for sure. I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think Reading are going to go with defence or attack, or a bit of both?
I think it will be a tight game, and I believe either side can win that fixture. As you said, Reading, they have the quality, but so do Manchester United. Reading have the experience, the likes of Farrell Williams in the side, but Man United seem to be fearless. They seem to be showing so much quality in the Championship. Be a test for them, but Man United battled hard when they faced Arsenal in the Cup, and I think they'll be relishing the challenge to play against Reading. I think it will be a very interesting game, and it could go either way.
I'd agree with that. I think given that Reading, as we talked about earlier in their match this week, were able to come back against Man City, I suspect that they will want to take it to Manchester United as well. And the one thing we haven't mentioned, of course, a lot of the Man United players are former WSL players themselves, so they will know how to play each other. I think the pace will be quite quick. Both teams will need a strong defence. I think, I agree with you. I think it's going to be fairly tight, but I would expect Reading to be the victors in that particular match. And of course, we've got another match as well, and the big one, Man City versus Liverpool. That's going to be interesting, because at the moment, of course, Man City women are on course to maybe do the treble this season. If they win the WSL, if they've already won the Continental Cup, and they could win the FA Cup, that'll be a historic treble for them. What's your thoughts?
I think it's going to be a tough game for Liverpool, because they've just come from the back of a defeat to Chelsea, 4-0, quite a heavy defeat. It's going to be hard for them to pick themselves back up after that. And Manchester City seem to be firing on all cylinders. Even against Reading, it wasn't their best performance, and they still scored 4 goals. So it'll be a tough one for Liverpool. Cup game, anything can happen. The magic of the FA Cup. But Manchester City have been really strong this season. They've reached the final before. They know what it means to reach the FA Cup final, play at Wembley. So I feel like Manchester City might edge it. But I'm not writing Liverpool off, but Manchester City, possibly. That's a wrap. Thanks for watching our first episode of the WSL wrap-up show. Thank you to Anne-Marie. That's it from us.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.